If you teach in a classroom today, then you're familiar with the term differentiation. And if you're like me, you may have a love-hate relationship with this term. Classrooms today are complex, and trying to teach to the individual instead of the group feels overwhelming most of the time. Hi everyone, I'm Patty from Madly Learning, and I'm a teacher in Ontario, Canada, and one of the realities of my teaching job depends on my ability to differentiate instruction. For the month of March, I invite you to join me as I dig deeper into what differentiation means in the classroom and how to do it effectively without wanting to pull your hair out. As a classroom teacher of combined grade classrooms, with often a high proportion of students with special education needs, I am no stranger to a difficult class that comes to me at all different levels. Being that it's just me in the classroom, with all of my students, I've learned some tips and tricks to differentiate and hone my skills in order to survive. As a result, I have become one of those crazy teachers that actually enjoys teaching splits, and this is primarily because it helps to support differentiated instruction. Join me all this month as I delve deeper into understanding what effective differentiation is and share with you my insight and experience as a differentiated teacher. Plus, if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how to get the companion resource for this, and which gives you reference guides for your planning binder and a weekly planning cheat sheet to help you plan your differentiation in your lessons. If you're ready, please join me as we dig in and get a little deeper. Differentiated instruction is a word that is used all the time in education today. However, I do feel that it's often looked at as something that is time-consuming and difficult. Teaching is like bowling. Try to roll a ball down the middle and get most of the students. To me, this is a very traditional idea of what teaching is, but it is certainly not differentiation. With differentiated instruction, you're not just serving the students in the middle, but you need to serve all of the students, those in the middle and those on both ends of the learning spectrum. There are four main components to differentiated instruction. And differentiation happens with teachers when they vary the content of their instruction, the process that students take, the products that are created, and finally, the classroom environment. When you vary the content of your instruction, first you need to present the instruction at different levels, presenting students with different learning styles, and all students can benefit from presenting information in a variety of ways. Although a student may not be one type of learner, presenting information in a variety of ways ensures that more students have the opportunity to comprehend what you are teaching them. When you vary the environment in your classroom, you can change both the physical things or the habits and routines of what's happening in your classroom. You can use strategies such as flexible seating to allow students to work where they're most comfortable. You can establish a growth mindset to help students understand learning as a series of goals to be accomplished instead of grades that they'll achieve. Students can develop risk-taking skills, independent thinking, and collaboration skills as they co-construct their learning with the assistance of their classroom community. To vary the process, you are looking at how students are completing a task. I like to think of these as pathways. Sometimes as teachers, we are very used to controlling the path of our students can take, but what we often forget is teachers everywhere teach the same content differently, proving there are multiple effective ways to get to the same results. This can happen in your classroom too. If we let go of the need to control what path our students take and focus more on supporting them on their own path in order to achieve certain learning goals, then students automatically have individual tailored learning. Using the gradual release of responsibility helps us to understand that students are ready for independent tasks at different periods. Allowing students to use manipulatives or visuals or organizers in order to have successfully completed task is also another way to differentiate instruction. Time is one that is easily understood. We all have students that finish early and some of them that just take forever. Helping to support students as they finish a learning objective at their own reasonable pace is an important skill. Differentiating the product is one of the easiest things a teacher can do to differentiate instruction. It begins with focusing on allowing the students to choose how they will complete a set of criteria by giving them options and choice and giving them ownership in their own learning. It helps put some skin in the game for them. They're not simply just receiving the instruction, but they're actively participating in the construction of their learning. Some call this approach the inquiry-based learning. Allowing students to choose multiple pathways is an important tool to begin using in our classroom. Open-ended tasks allow you to give the same looking product, but not expecting the same product produced by each student. This gives multiple entry points for students to access the same task in different ways. Being responsive to student needs is the beginning of how to start looking at differentiation and gives the framework to begin to understand why and how we differentiate. We will be digging deeper at this concept in upcoming lesson series, so stay tuned. Differentiated learning tasks take into account the learning preferences, interests, and readiness of our students. We need to ensure that these features of differentiation trickle down through our teaching and learning cycles and impact our planning, instruction, and assessment. Learning happens best when a learning experience pushes the learner beyond his or her independence level, is a wonderful quote by Vygotsky. Understanding that student readiness is important for differentiation will help you to get ready to differentiate. Students must be working in their zone of proximal development. You must understand as a teacher where they currently are, where they need to go, and what steps they will need to take to get there. Assessment done frequently will help you to determine where they are and what they need, which will make differentiating your instruction much easier. But what essential beliefs do we need to have as teachers to create an environment of real differentiation? First off, we need to set a culture of high expectations for all students, understanding that every student can achieve, regardless of some of the barriers or challenges that they may encounter. Ensuring that students are receiving the same opportunities for higher order thinking. It can't be just your gifted and talented kids that are capable of this. We need to ensure that all of our students have the opportunity to show higher order thinking skills, even though we may need to figure out a way to allow this to happen that may be less than traditional. Art, music, and physical literacy are great avenues for students to explore in untraditional ways. These allow students to build on some of their less than traditional strengths and show their thinking. Giving students a choice in their own learning. Doing this gives students ownership, but it also decreases our control as teachers. This can be messy and scary when you first begin, but trust me, it's so worth the price of admission once you see it working. We need to understand the difference between fairness and equality. We really have to move past our hangups when it comes to students are doing different things that we perceive isn't fair. There's a fine line between accommodation and modification and when it comes to differentiation. And again, we're going to dig into this again as well because I think it needs its own video. But I find that I often have to talk myself out of this dated way of thinking to understand that equal and fair are two totally different concepts. Some kids need glasses, others do not. Just like some kids need tech to complete their work, while others don't. Be clear with students about learning goals and success criteria. This is another really important concept that we need to keep in mind when differentiation. Without clear learning goals and success criteria that are referenced frequently and shared with students, then they don't know what they're doing and they don't know why they're doing it. In the past, I've asked colleagues to come into my classroom during working periods and ask my students, what are you doing and why are you doing that? They really should always be able to answer this question. They should know that everything you do in your classroom has purpose and meaning, and it's not busy work, or work simply because you said follow my instructions because I said so. Differentiation is not when everyone gets the same. This picture certainly looks what school looked like for me. Well, minus a black and white picture, but we did sit in rows and read a textbook and answer questions. And if everyone is doing the same thing in the same way because we're told to, that is often not differentiation. Listen, sometimes it does happen. You can't get around it, and there's nothing horrible about it. Sometimes you simply just need to give them something out of a textbook, or they need to just memorize facts and knowledge building. And rote learning isn't horrible, especially when it comes to things like learning your times tables or learning how to spell the word because. However, on the other end of the spectrum, simply just letting the students have fun and worrying that all of our lessons must be fun and entertaining without it being tied to learning, it's not differentiation either. Just having a fun lesson that's not tied to learning goals is just as ineffective as students sitting in rows all doing the same task. I mean, surely the students are more engaged when they're looking at their tablets or doing some fun, energizing activity. But if they're just simply doing it without knowing why they're doing it, then they're not constructing meaning in what they're doing, and they're simply just having fun. They're not really learning. Differentiation happens when choice and flexibility are provided with instructional clarity and clearly defined goals for learning. This is differentiation at its core. Choice and flexibility must be combined with other things. Instructional clarity allows students to know why they are learning something, and goals give them direction in which to move towards. Understanding that each student moves towards these goals differently and at a different pace will help us to give us a better framework to understand what differentiated instruction is and why it's important. I would like to thank my many sources that helped me in better defining my understanding of differentiation for today's video. If you like this video, please check back soon to see more of my free videos in this differentiated instruction series. When we dig a little deeper into the why and how of differentiation, I'm going to share tips and tricks to make sure you have some ideas to take away with you to start using in your classroom right away. Let's stay connected. If you follow my email newsletter or you join me on Facebook or Twitter, where you also get to know me a little bit by watching my crazy life as I'm following me on Pinterest and Instagram. Thanks so much for staying for the companion resource that goes with this video, which includes a tip sheet for differentiation. Please follow the link bit.ly/ML-DI1. Again, that's bit.ly/ML-DI, all in capitals, 1. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.